Now, for everybody who's listening, we love working with clients who purchase one, but we also are really forward with you that if you want this to be a consistent asset class, you got to have three. You got to have diversification of your portfolio, because otherwise, if you only have one rental property, newsflash, at some point, something bad is going to happen to that property, whether somebody moves out or there's a maintenance expense or whatever. And if that's the case, it's going to be like this. And so, in our conversations, Jim and Staci, when we were talking about what type of consistency is needed to get to the Great American Loop, I'm like, guys, I can't just sell you one. Like, if we're really trying to get to the Great American Loop, right? Like, this needs to be performing for years and years and years and years and years consistently in order to give you guys the confidence to go. So yeah, I'm not surprised. I scare a lot of people that way, but it's the way the numbers work, and it's the truth.
Yeah, no, but it's a good thing, because not only does it saves you kind of the headache when you're doing all that paperwork kind of at once, because you've already got it all collected. Right. It makes it easier process on the buyer too, I think. I mean, from my perspective.
Yeah. Tell people a little bit about what the loan process is like, and then, the decision to buy multiple properties at one time versus stringing them out across the year. I know we were talking a little about it before, but share with people your ideas on why that makes sense.
So for us, because he has a business and we have like sort of like other little business things around, there's always, oh, I need your, Schedule K from this business, and your Schedule K, and I need your this from this business. And it becomes a lot of data collection. So for me, if you can get, they want your most recent taxes, they want your last pay stubs, they want these tax filings from any businesses that you have. And then in some cases, they want your most recent profit and loss within, that month or whatever. So if I was able to do all those things like at the same time or nearly the same time, it wasn't as much of a struggle, because I had it all ready in kind of a little package. And then when the new loan came up, I just sent the stuff I had already collected, basically. So it made it a lot easier to do. And it is nicer to do if you can do it like once you're because usually we file extensions. So it's kind of like, oh, if I can do it like right after I get my taxes done, that's great. Or, that sort of thing. But it is nicer to buy in several at once because of that. I think that process.
And nobody really thinks about that, but there's that huge just experience of, you'll have a more positive experience if you can organize multiple purchases at one time with the lending process. But this really goes back to the planning process. That's why when we are going to be planning with potential clients, we're planning about the first year, right? The first initial purchases, whether that is 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever number, we're planning that, but then we're planning future years. And if we're thinking next year and 2 years and 3 years, and we know that there's going to be maybe a plan to purchase 3 properties over the next 2 years or 3 years, we're going to look to see if we can make this a better experience for you, that you can buy all of them at one time. Maybe it's sooner, maybe it's a little bit later, so you can combine it if there's a big bonus that's coming in with work. But through that planning process, we're able to maximize it. And then, of course, there's some incentives to do that too. There's a tenant placement incentive that we credit up to. We credit $500 when you purchase 3 at one time. So there's some of those incentives. There's the incentive that you guys have reached, but when you get to 5 properties, you drop the management fees from 10% each month to 9%. So there's some of those built-in advantages as well. But one other thing that I wanted to mention that I know a lot of people aren't aware of, most people feel that if they are able to get one loan on a rental property, that it would be harder for them to get qualified to buy 2 at one time or 3 at one time. I'll put you guys on the spot, Jim and Staci. Do you know why it's actually easier for you to be able to get qualified for 3 properties many times versus 1?
I do not. I just know it was.
It works. And if it works, we don't have to understand it exactly why. But for most people, when they go in, like, let's say that you guys wanted to go and buy 2 primary residences right now, right? It would be harder to do that, because in a primary residence, you are not earning what?
You're not earning cash flow. You're not earning money.
Yeah, you're not earning rent to offset the debt. But when you actually invest in turnkey rental properties like here in Jacksonville, where there's positive cash flow, like Jim and Stacy, every time the bank looks at potentially making a loan to you, they're looking at the income that is coming in from the rents, and then they're looking at the payment, the debt service that will be required to service that. And you have more income than debt service. That's what we call positive cash flow. So that's a beautiful thing. And so the lenders that we work with in our network, and not every lender can do this, but our lenders do, of course, they're able to capture the rental income coming in. They're able to show the lender that this offsets the debt. And that's how you're able to buy 3 from getting qualified perspective as easily as you are to buy 1.
Makes sense.